Als je een vraag hebt strakjes, dan mag je dat in de chat zetten. Ik zal de vragen bijhouden en dan op een gepast moment kunnen we die aan Jorien stellen. Ehm, Aan het einde van deze learning sessie zal ik een linkje in de chat zetten ook, waar je een donatie achter kan laten die past bij jouw situatie. En deze zullen we gebruiken om het 4 seizoenen-programma te kunnen supporten. En ik zal ook aan het einde een link plaatsen van alle andere activiteiten, mocht je die nog niet gezien hebben. Dus dat komt allemaal aan het eind. Nou, genoeg vanuit mijn kant. Ik geef heel graag het woord aan jou, Jorien.
Ja, dankjewel, Franka. En dankjewel iedereen die er vandaag bij is. Hartstikke fijn. Nou, mijn naam is dus Jorien. Ik ben van The School of Nature. Ik woon in Spanje, waar we mensen uitnodigen om te verbinden met zichzelf en de natuur.
Jorien, ik ga jou eventjes onderbreken. Er komt namelijk Dominic komt binnen en ik weet
Ja.
dat hij Engels spreekt. Dus we gaan toch switchen naar het Engels.
All right.
Yes? Oké.
Welcome, Dominic. Happy you're joining us.
Hello.
So we'll switch to English. If there's someone that you don't understand, feel free to ask in the chat. And Franka, maybe you can keep an eye on the chat, right? Great, thanks. So I would like to start with silence. So make yourself comfortable. Maybe you can move your body a bit in the way it wants in this moment. And then when you're ready, you can close your eyes. Maybe you can feel the silence, the space. And let's sit with that for a minute. And slowly you can come back and open your eyes. Yes. Emptiness, silence, rest, nothing. These are energies of winter. And winter starts the 21st of December, looking at it from a natural perspective of the seasons with the winter solstice. But maybe you recognize that when winter starts, the 21st of December, also start the festivities of Christmas and New Year's, which can be quite hectic, intense, and very active. So maybe now we're here in January. It's a nice, maybe a better moment to reflect on what winter is and what it means to us and how we can tap into that energy. still in January, there's also in our society a bit sometimes the feeling of, okay, work starts again. Maybe you have new resolutions that include a lot of sports or getting active. So in conclusion, what I feel, and maybe you recognize that, is that our society, the DNA of our society, finds winter, the energy of winter, quite challenging. So I'm really happy to be here with you all today to really give space and time to tap into this time of the year, outside of us, but also inside of us, what it does to us. And I would like to ask you to write in the chat one thing you like about winter. So what do you like about winter? The cold, crispy air. That you can see the structure of trees because there are no leaves, ice skating, hot chocolate, glue wine with loved ones, the fresh cold air again, bare branches, sitting at the fireplace with the candles. Sleep. Fresh cold air. Yeah, that's one of my favorites too. Being allowed to turn inwards. Beautiful. Slowing down. Rebirth. Making a fire inside. Thank you. And then turning it around, if you want to share in the chat with us, what do you find challenging about wintertime? I would love to hear your answers. Gray sky, the darkness. The silence through which I get the feeling of going inside. Kaalheid, yeah. Kaalheid in English, I don't know. Keep relaxing my body instead of cramping muscles because of the cold. Lack of sunshine, intense family times, lower energy, connect with the cold. Yeah, the cold, not only outside, but also in the body, yes. Short days, darkness, not having green nature. Yeah, thank you for sharing. It's maybe you recognize also answers from others that resonate with you too. And now that we shared this, it's the positive and the negative, a bit the light and the dark, and I will talk about this later as well. This interplay between darkness that seems quite dominant in winter, darkness, cold, and the light, more positive things. But first, I will share with you some insights about what happens in nature during this season, during winter. I will also share a bit about the medicine wheel and winter in the map of the medicine wheel. And after that, we will turn to reflection and interaction about how you want to move through winter this year. So what I will explain in a minute, I hope it can serve as inspiration because it will show different ways of moving through winter. So take it in. If you have any questions, leave them in the chat. And I hope it will give you some new inspirations as well. And then later we will talk about it all together. Let me share my screen with you. Yes. All right. Can you all still hear me and see me? Yes. Great, thanks. So to start, one of the phenomena in nature that happens during winter, actually before winter, is migration. So basically going away, not staying for the cold and the dark times, but moving. And of course, I think you're quite familiar with this sight. These are geese flying south. And the main reason for migration is food scarcity, but also some animals are just not adapted to the cold, so they need higher temperatures. And also breeding, so either returning from a breeding place back to home or going to a breeding place, both happening. So these are reasons for migration. And there are animals that really thrive during migration. For instance, I really like the salmon. They migrate upstream the waterfalls, and they jump really upstream. It's really impressive to see. So, and they go upstream for to breed upstream. So this is like the talent of the salmon that shows in the hard times, so to say. The cuckoo is also an interesting one. They also migrate, but before they migrate, they left their eggs in a nest of other birds. So basically, they go away to the sunshine while they let others do the hard job of raising their kids in the in the colder times. So that's also a strategy or a way. So migrating, going away. And then there's a bunch of animals that stay during winter. And part of them go into hibernation. So staying but dormant. You all are familiar, I think, with the hedgehogs, for instance. Other animals are bats, also go into hibernation. And an interesting thing about not all bats, but most of them, is that they hibernate they call it social hibernation. So they really cuddle up all together. Maybe you've heard of the emperor penguin as well. They actually lay the egg before the really cold, and during wintertime they just all stay cuddled up together, covering the eggs. So there's a social aspect that you see in nature with the animals quite often, actually. It's really interesting. And then the last category, if you want to say it that way, is there are also animals that stay and don't go dormant. So they're active, awake. And that's the interesting, for me, the most interesting thing to look at today. So what do we do if we're in nature? Yeah, finding it maybe challenging. So you all know the squirrel. What does the squirrel do? Stores up food. And in winter, the squirrel doesn't sleep, but they do become less active. And also the squirrel has this social aspect. So in wintertime, they look way more for connection with other squirrels. Someone who thrives in winter is the Arctic fox. These are both the Arctic fox. They change fur color, so that when winter comes, they change to white. So they really blend into the snow, which makes it during this winter time they have a huge advantage when it comes to hunting, because they have this complete camouflage. And then a lot of plants, we've been talking about animals, but of course plants cannot go, so they're forced to stay. And a lot of plants go dormant during winter time, but there are also plants that bloom, that flourish, the snowdrop and the aconites. So they, as you can see in the pictures as well, they really push through the snow often to let their flowers bloom, which also blooming this early gives them the advantage of the kind of monopoly on the early pollinators that are there. And trees, of course, also are forced to stay. And well, you've already mentioned that these bare branches shedding the leaves, containing the energy as much as possible. So also a kind of dormant state. But there are also leaves, the evergreens. Here in Spain, we have a lot of these holm oaks. As you can see, here's a holm oak in the snow. They all have their leaves. And because they have still the green leaves in winter, they keep photosynthesizing during the winter. So if there's a bit of light, a bit of sun, they keep photosynthesizing and in that way gaining energy. And then there's the taxus, the Jew tree. I really like this tree. They can become centuries old. It's an evergreen as well. And they're some people say they're kind of the symbol for the ability to stay and to be and to endure the darkness and the cold, because they can live so long, centuries, but they can also only do so because they can go through these winters. They can bear the darkness. And as said before, this balance between darkness and light, I want to zoom into that a bit more, because winter is also, as you mentioned, a lot of you as well, like the challenging part is the darkness. So looking specifically at darkness, there are of course animals that are nocturnal animals, like the owl. They really thrive in the night. That's when they live. So in winter time, the owl actually has an advantage because the nights are longer. They have more hunting time. And playing with the dark light element, there are fungi like these that illuminate during the dark. So this is a fungi that creates light from within when it's super dark. And they do that, by the way, to attract insects. And then, of course, the northern lights, a natural phenomenon. Maybe some of you have seen it. I didn't see it with my own eyes yet. But these are known to be visible mostly in the winter times. So in the darkest months, that is when they show up. So I am sharing this because what I find really interesting is this darkness. One of the questions that I always ask myself in wintertime is like, how can I embrace the darkness or maybe even enjoy the darkness? And on the other hand, because it's so dominant, we have to do something with it, see if we can embrace it. And on the other hand, I also learned that however dominant the darkness is, there is always light as well. These two elements are always present. The only thing is, when the darkness is so dominant, sometimes you really have to intentionally invite the light to be able to experience it again. So even in wintertime, when there seems no light in literal or emotional sense, just having this trust and knowing there is always light, there's always a door that you can open where there is light. So that is one of the other questions that I ask myself in these times, like, how can I invite the light? I just quickly want to check if there are some questions that popped up, Franka, so far.
No, I haven't seen one, but maybe there is someone who wants to ask Jorien a question about what she told, then it's the time. You can do it in the chat or unmute yourself for a moment.
If there are no questions yet, then I will move on to the medicine wheel. The medicine wheel, for me, I would describe it as a spiritual map that is used by some Native American cultures. And it's based on the 4 directions. So north, south, east, and west. And for me, I think the map symbols a bit the connection, the interconnectedness between everything, and mainly it helps me to bring outer nature inside myself and the other way around. So to see that connection between our outer nature and inner nature. And there are many ways to use the map of the medicine wheel. And today I will talk about the seasons. So these, Banka, do you see there's someone in the waiting room? Yeah. So every of the 4 direction has their own energy, and it's a cycle. So you can put various things that happen outside in nature into the medicine wheel. So also the seasons. Often we start in the east. The east is the direction of spring. The light starts. It's an energy of birth. Then we move to the south, the summer, the sun at the highest point, the most heat, the most action. Autumn is on the west, the energy of letting go, of slowly getting into a state of rest, which is then winter in the north. So these are the seasons showed in the map. And why I wanted to discuss the medicine wheel with you is because this the cycli that it shows. So you have the spring, summer, autumn, winter, and then it starts again. So there's this movement. And this energy of winter, of rest, of nothingness, of silence. Maybe you have more associations with it yourself when you experience being in nature outside, for instance, during the winter. But as I said, this is an energy not so, there's not so much space for this energy in our society normally, as I experience. And the nice thing about the map is that there is this cycle is not only in the seasons, but it's also in smaller cycles where we maybe can find it more easily as well, which can help us. So for instance, on the east, we can also start with the moon cycle. So in the east is when the moon starts to waxing, I think is the name in English. And then in the south, like the full action is the full moon. Then it starts to go dark again in the 3rd quarter in the west. And then where we had winter in the north is now the new moon. Yesterday was the new moon as well. And what I'm trying to say with this is that, for instance, also not only in the seasonal cycle of 1 year, there is this place of winter in the north where you can, what is the time for silence, for rest, for nothingness. But there are also smaller cycles in which you can find the same energy. So it's not like you have like, oh, okay, I've waited 9 months for winter and now is the time to rest. So if I don't do it now, there's no, it's not like that. There's this energy of winter is also in smaller cycles. So for instance, this new moon that was yesterday is also a moment where the new moon can help us to tap into this energy. even smaller, the cycle of the day. So in the East, we start with the morning, the sun comes up, midday, sun at highest point, warmth, action, evening, letting go, slowly going to the state of rest, which is night. So even during this day, you can tap into this energy of rest. And for me, it really helped me because in general, I think one of the things that helps me the most to connect with nature is not like, okay, now I'm gonna go for a month living in with only a tarp somewhere in nature and then connecting to nature really well. No, we started actually the School of Nature when we lived in the center of Amsterdam without a garden. And then what do you do then? Like, how do you connect to nature then? And this is where these smaller cycles, smaller actions come in that help me a lot, and maybe they help you, serve you in some way as well. Yeah, so one thing more that I wanted to share about this light darkness, just as a reminder, winter feels very dark, but when I say, as I said, like the light is always present, when the winter starts on the 21st of December, the 21st of December is the longest night, the shortest day. And from then on, the light increases every day. It goes slowly, but every day, in actually when from the moment winter starts, every day there is more light coming already. So maybe when you miss some light, you can remember this as well, to be remembered that light is always there and it's growing. So there are different ways to, as you see in nature with the animals and plants, they each have their different ways to deal with the challenges of winter, but also to thrive. Some plants and animals, they make it their unique. They have these unique powers or talents that flourish in winter. So that together with the medicine wheel, yeah, maybe just let it sink in a bit for now and see what resonates with you and how it can help you give yeah, maybe give a new perspective or a new idea on how you can move through this winter. And that is what I want to start now, or invite you to do now. So I want to take a moment for reflection. Let's see what time is. Yeah, you can maybe take a minute or 10 to really tap into the question, like, how do I want to embrace winter? And I'm talking about this year. So these coming 2-3 months, how do you want to embrace winter? And as I said, I think the most powerful are the small, concrete things that you can come up with. And some sub questions you can think about, as I discussed earlier, like how to be or how to embrace the dark. It's there. And you can literally, but also the emotional dark. For me, those, as I said, like the outer dark and the inner dark, the outer light, the inner light, in the end, it's all the same. So how to invite the light is another question. And how to invite the emptiness. So the winter in the medicine wheel is this place of emptiness, of nothingness, of silence. And as I said, these smaller cycles can help to find your moments, smaller moments of rest, of nothingness in your life. So one way you can think of it as well, like when does the cycle for me end? Maybe even in things like work. Maybe you have a project, and when the project is finished, then you're in this winter energy. Do you take time to be in this space of nothing, of hey, it's done, rest, before you start anything else again? So these are some questions to, yeah, for you to reflect on. I'll give you, let's say, 10 minutes, and then I'll come back. I'll stay, but I will give you a sign after 10 minutes. I see. I think a lot of you are done writing. Is there someone who needs a bit more time? Yeah, yeah, all right. Maybe 1 or 2 more minutes. All right. Now I will invite you to go into breakout rooms. So you'll be with one other, or in case Ross and Brit, you will be with 3 people. And the question is you'll get around 5 minutes to share first one to the other, and then we switch. And when you share, I would love it if you could share with the other person what you wrote down, your answer to the question. And then think about what would help you to really do those things. Or as the other way around, what might be an obstacle for you to actually do these things this winter? All right. Is that clear? So I will put you in breakout rooms. You just have to accept, join breakouts. And then you'll be with someone else in the breakout. Is there someone who really prefers to do it in Dutch? Because then I would just make sure you will be matched with a Dutch speaking person. Yeah. All right. I will give a sign in the through chat when we switch roles. All right. Here we go. So we have. Welcome back. I want to invite you. Maybe first have another moment to check in with your body before. Always good to check in. Tend to forget our bodies, especially when we're behind a screen. So see how your body wants to move or stretch. Yeah. And then I would love to open the floor. Thank you, Jetske. I would love to open the floor to hear some of your voices, to share what happened in what you found as for yourself as an answer, but also maybe some new insights you got, whatever you feel like sharing. Is there someone who would like to start? You can just raise your hand like this. Esme. Yes.
Hi, in English then. I was sharing my stuff with Vela, and it was really nice. And the thing you said about how to take little steps, just make it really concrete. And I was these high things like how to invite the light and to look for new possibilities and to explore new things, because I had an operation on my foot and I want to explore new things with my foot, and how to do this really um, um, just on a low mode, like just exploring. And then she said, well, maybe you can invite the light and just make a walk, make and just walk. And I was like, yeah, that's really concrete and really nice. And I was like, hey, thank you so much. So that was good. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, thank you for sharing. Is the food something that feels heavy to you or dark? Is that the
Yes, of course the operation was really not nice, not a nice time. So it's also how to embrace the dark and how to celebrate that it's done now, and that it's, and yeah. So that's also, but one of the things that in the chat, it helped that I was saying this to somebody else who made it really concrete for me. So that was
happy to hear. Yes. What I also hear in your story, just to quickly give something back, is the operation is done. So that's like one cyclus that
yes,
has ended.
yes,
And also when a new cyclus ends, there's always already a new beginning also waiting to sprout, so to say, which is the recovery or the reintegration. And it's beautiful to not rush into that, but take it
yes.
with little steps.
Because when I'm with my physiotherapist, I want to play tennis and I want to, get to skiing and stuff. But he says, well, relax, just take it slow. And I was like, oh, okay. And yeah, this wheel, it helps me to, say like, I'm allowed to take it slow. I'm allowed to explore. I'm allowed to, yeah. So that's, yeah, cool. Thanks.
Who else? I'm just out of curiosity, by raising hands, is there anyone else who feels it's quite hard or challenging to really take it slow? Yeah. What, just thinking for yourself, what helps you to really do it anyways, to really take things slow? Maybe someone wants to respond. Good question, huh? So what helps you to take things slow? Yeah, Esme?
Yeah, I think it's also allowing me myself to take it slow, like giving me allowance to do that. So we're just pushing ourselves all the time, and then just to really stand still and say, well, I'm okay to take it slow. That helps me.
Yeah, good one.
Permission.
Personally, I can share a very concrete thing that helps me. I once met a beautiful man, and I was astonished because we were working on a farm, and he went so slow. And I think he took like 3 weeks to just like make some steps in mud, and it activated all my allergies. Like, oh my god, especially I think Dutch culture is also a bit to do with it, like go go go. But now when I notice I have a hard time taking it slow, his name is Grant, then I just say to myself, I'm gonna do a Grant hour. So I take 1 hour, and whatever I do, I do it super slow. So it's, I also try to play a bit with these kind of things. not taking things too serious is also some way to invite the light in and helping yourself be more grand. Yes. Is there anyone else who would like to share something?
Yes, I would like to. I was sharing with Miriam, and she suggests what she does, and she suggests that I could do as well is to choose one word for the season, so for the winter, and then we figured out that for me it's acceptance, also acceptance that things that you can take a grand hour. And then she said you can also put the word in your home, like it's always a remembrance of the word and what your word for the season is. So that was very helpful. I'm gonna do that. So this season it's acceptance. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, what I hear that having one word for the season can help to, just like I talked about resolutions, a lot of times we have like tons of things we want to improve for ourselves or do better. But choosing one word helps you also, maybe, at least I think it would help me as well, to not try to do everything different, or but just focus on one thing. And one word like acceptance, it encompasses a lot as well. So, but there is a kind of focus. Nice. Yeah. Thank you also, Miriam. Is there someone else that would like to share something?
There is also a saying, I'm practicing Tai Chi and Qigong, and they have a saying, relax and don't collapse.
Relax and don't collapse. And what does that mean for you?
You can, especially in this season, it's better to take it a bit slow, less hurry, but not too slow that you are, how you call it, not too slow that you are falling down. How you call it? Don't collapse. Don't
collapse. Yeah.
Not
Well,
too
yeah.
easy, not too relaxed. It's a balance.
And how is finding the balance for you? What helps you to find this balance?
I share with Dominic in de, hoe zeg je, de overgang van oud naar nieuw?
The transition from old to new?
Yeah, I take a ritual bath, sweet water in Suriname. It's sweet water in English. And you take the flower buds and flower petals in a tub with water and nice perfumes with in it, and you take a, how you call it, een kopje, een kommetje,
a cup or a bowl.
a cup or a bowl, and when you pouring the water above your head, you make intentions. I wish that, I wish this, and it is a ritual you can always do when you want to begin anew, because you always can begin something anew.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
I can totally see the bath and the ritual. And a bath for me is very relaxing. But combining it with the intention to start something new, what I hear in that is also the not collapsing or getting all down, so to say, like relaxing and going really under.
Yeah.
But by putting the new intention, I hear this balance. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
It's
now,
like
Luke,
a, it's like a bud of a plant or something if it really collapse, it won't be sprout. How you call it? It
Yeah.
can eat me blue.
Yeah, exactly. Like the plants go dormant, but there's the roots are still active under the ground. They're dormant, but they still need to contain some energy to sprout. If they collapse completely, then there's nothing left. I think. Thank you, Jerry.
Yeah.
What I hear in this is also like the finding the fine line, which can be sometimes a fine line, the darkness when we talk about emotional darkness, embracing that, accepting that. Sometimes it's hard to, let me find the right words. When we surrender to the darkness inside ourselves, sometimes it can become so dark that you go all under.
Yeah.
Maybe some of you recognize that. And that's where also, like Jerry said in the bath, or in the expression, to always find the balance and feel when it's time to invite the light again. Do you understand what I'm saying? Maybe that's something you can take with you as well. Nanook, you also raised your hand, I saw. You want to share something?
Yeah, it was about the how everyone kind of like shared that it can be kind of hard to like let go and do nothing. And what I like to do when I feel hurried or I feel like I need to get things done and get them like on time. When I feel that, I question myself of like, but who is expecting this of me? And often the answer is myself. And then I'm like, I don't have to expect this of myself. I can take it a bit slower. I can take it easier. And reminding myself that I'm allowed to have rest, take rest, and that the rest of the world can wait.
Yeah, beautiful and very recognizable as well. Like, as I said, like our society, the energy of winter is not really celebrated.
No.
But like you said, it's also for ourselves, it can also become a kind of excuse. Like, oh no, it's not me, it's the society, it's everything around me that expects me to be on time or to hurry. But it's beautiful how what I hear in your story is that you also take back responsibility, because in the end it's ourselves, just us and not the world around us, that have these expectations or responsibility to take that rest. No one else can. If we wait for our society or the people around us to say like, okay, tomorrow instead of 9 o'clock you can come to work at 11. I don't know if you work for bosses that call you up like this, but if we wait for these kind of things, we're never gonna get into that energy. So we need to take responsibility for ourselves and thinking, okay, I'll have to be at work at 9, but maybe after work or during lunch I go outside to meditate, or after work I will take 1 hour doing nothing at home, So I really like how you take back your own responsibility in it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else who feels like sharing something?
Well, there was one thing that struck me in the conversation that we had together with Bas and Brit, of which we now only see Brit. And we were asking ourselves, like, if I'm putting up candles and lights when it's dark, am I not acknowledging the darkness? And then we agreed with each other, that is not the case. We're making best use of the darkness because the darkness allows us to create very cozy and comfy moments. So we were talking about like how we are making our room even more beautiful by lighting up candles, which is not possible in the summer because it's not dark. And that we really try to nest more, or that we try to look for more intimacy or sexuality or connectiveness in those dark moments with each other. So yeah, we agreed that lighting up candles is not a way of suppressing the darkness, but to make best use of it.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Yeah. Like lighting, I love this. Lighting a candle, it's something so common or so small, but it's so significant. And as Josine shared, like it can change the whole energy like this. And it's beautiful. Yeah, yeah. And about suppressing the darkness or not. Yeah, if you know, I always like to play with things. So when I hear you sharing this, Josine, I think like, oh yeah, maybe I'll try some nights when I want to light a candle, just stay in the dark for 10 minutes. See what it does. You know, just play. Yeah, you can play with it. And there was one other thing that I wanted to share about that. One sec. No, I'm not sure what it was. Someone is saying something in the chat. I think there's time for one more sharing if someone feels sharing something. The floor is open. Yeah, Gerrit.
I learned from our conversation. I feel a bit ashamed what the human race does to the nature. And my view has been very different through decades for economic goals, let's to say it briefly. So it doesn't feel great. But I learned in that conversation that it's great to speak out. And it is a sense of mourning. And when you take that view upon normal grief or mourning, somebody dies or so, it passes away after a couple of days because the life goes on and new things pop up. So I think that's in the word of regeneration, that you can expect new life to come, new ideas, new frontiers, and new cooperations. That's hopeful.
Thank you for sharing. Yes, beautiful. And what I hear in your story is what I hear is that what happened during the conversation is that by speaking out the darkness, the mourning you feel, by speaking it out, it's there. It gets its space. You embrace it. You accept it. It can be there. It's allowed to be there. And that is giving space to the darkness. That is holding space for the darkness. And the light that you're talking about that always comes again, the new things, the regeneration in that sense. In my experience, you only when you create the full space of allowance for this darkness, this space, only in this empty space that arises then, can new things sprout. And yeah, so beautiful sharing. Thank you. Yeah. I think it's time to slowly go to the end. Maybe if you want to join me, because I feel like there's so much said and done, maybe we all want to take an inhale, breathe everything in, and on the exhale, letting things go. Also shaking it off, maybe if you feel like it. Yeah. So, yes. Thank you so much for sharing this moment all together. I want to share one more thing, because what we've been talking about today is, for me, this is my practice, living with nature, as you want to call it. That's the practice that I do. And that's also the practice that we share with the School of Nature, that we would love that we share, and that we invite people to join. So we live here in Spain on a beautiful wild space, lots of forest and a creek, a river, and we host weeks and retreats here. One of which is actually called Living with the Land. And here we invite people to join in this practice. So what we do is we live with the land for a week, and we do that in various aspects. So as we talked about today, like this inner nature and outer nature, and how that in the end is kind of one and blends. That is what we do during this retreat as well. So there's really practical things that you learn how to forage for edible plants in the wild, or really practical ways to connect with nature, but also more going inwards to our inner nature, using the symbolism of nature, the medicine wheel, for instance. And what I love about this retreat is that in the end, what you feel is that it's blended. So some participants say, oh, I love this, that it's this mix of practical things and spiritual things. And in the end, what you notice is that the practical things that we do have a very spiritual layer to it. And the other way around, that very spiritual experiences become, or very dark, deep things can become light again. So what we talked about today is something that is also, that we do here on the land. And I will, if you're interested, you can always follow us. Let me share my screen for one last moment. Bum, 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 bum. And here it is. Slideshow. No, it's not. I cannot reach it, but I think you can see it, right? It's this one. So we have an Instagram. It's at the School of Nature. We have a website, theschoolofnature.org. And if you're interested to dive deeper in this, then the retreat that I was talking about, Living with the Land, we host this year's edition in May. So feel free to check it out if you feel a call or curiosity. Thank you so much. What we just did is like exhaling and shaking things off, and what now stays with me is a kind of glow, the energy of glow. So thank you for that. And I think I will give the word to Franca again, right?
Yes, thank you, Jorien. Thanks for taking us into nature in the winter season, but also the winter in ourselves. And I heard some lovely reflections and insights. So yeah, it was beautiful. I wrote a lot of the insights of others down myself. So thank you all. And yeah, thank you for being here. And if you want to be in our next learning session, that's on the 2nd of February, a Friday as well, at the same time. And that goes about is about rewilding. It's someone who slept outside for a whole year. So he experienced all the seasons outside in a very intensive way. And he can tell us a lot about connecting to nature in a lot of ways. So I think that will be a very interesting one as well. And at the 20th February, no, January, we do a walk when it's getting dark with an audio to reflect on the winter time outside, but also inside. So that one I sent it the link as well. And like I said, if you want to donate with suit your situation, then there's a Tiki link. So yeah, that's it. And well, again, thank you so much for being here and all your attention for yourself and for the story of Jorien. And Jorien, thank you again. And yeah, enjoy your day, the rest of your day. Maybe we can all switch our unmute, and then say hi to each other like we hear our voices, or say goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Jorien.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.